MakingStarWars.net. And Rob didn't take to the pet cemetery, and he's a ghost again. We had to put him down, but his ghost is here. And
with the most.
the ghost with the most. And Dr. Azatru. How's it going, Mr. Azatru?
All good, because we've got some Star Wars games news to talk about.
Nice. I bought that book yesterday, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Are you reading it? Are you reading the...
I haven't. I was going to. Battle Scars.
Battle Scars, yeah.
I was going to, but I used to be a big reader when I was in school because I had time. Now I haven't read a book since like for years. I just don't make time. And I've got
you don't make time because Azatru just put up a 200-part Let's Play to Fortnite season 20. You know what I mean?
He doesn't. No, you guys are anti-Fortnite. He's with you. You're going against your alliance, bud.
You're right. So Apex Legends. Apex
plan.
All right. I don't know what do you play right now? That's true. Out of curiosity, I could go look at your channel, but I don't make time for that either.
So, well, obviously, I only focus on Jedi Survivor at the moment. It's whatever the most current Star Wars game is. But outside, I mostly play Apex, Halo, Battlefield.
I
guessed right with Apex. I just figured because of Respawn.
No.
Cool. So yesterday or last time was it yesterday you were on, or last time you were on?
The other day,
we were talking about Fortnite and Apex. Oh, there was a little bit of a bias there that was hidden. I see.
I've always made it clear. I've always made it clear. I've not been a fan of Fortnite, although I obviously will report on if Cal comes to Fortnite. I will have to probably buy him for a video or something.
Yeah, you could come play with us. It'd be fun. It'd be fun. We'll be stormtroopers for you or something. I told my kids about what you guys said. By the way, I was like, let me ask you this, guys. All right, if they made a Fortnite movie, who do you want to be in it? Right? And they're not saying Luke Skywalker or Kylo Ren or anything like that. They're like, we want Peely. And we want fish stick, and you gotta have Jonesy, and they're like going off, Meow Souls. They want Meow Souls, and I was like, okay. So I'm like, so if they took those characters out of the game, would it make you mad if you could just be Luke Skywalker? They're like, yeah. Are you crazy? So I was like, okay. I'm like, hey, that was my survey, my independent survey of 2 children.
I think for children those characters work, but I guess from the older audience, they just want the licensed stuff.
Yeah, that's when Bespin and I are playing, we're usually Star Wars characters or some dumb anime thing that we like. And but I do appreciate the well-designed weird Fortnite characters that have personality. It goes a little distance for me, but not far. But really quickly before I forget, this is a couple of the loose end stuff. I don't know how accurate this is, but this is going around, and it's from the Boardwalk Times on Twitter, and it says Bob Iger got a clip from the Acolyte last night that says it looks brilliant. So
was it the cease and desist clip? Was it the DMCA? Was it the subpoena?
Yeah.
I feel like no offense. I'm not saying that it isn't. I'm looking forward to the show, but
yeah,
I feel like for Bob Iger to make an Acolyte statement the day after the news of them being sued by the producer of the Acolyte sounds like an algorithm, tables dropper. You know what I mean?
Strangely, I disagree though. Okay. I feel like they do 2 things though. It's usually a hey, look over here. So like something goes bad. Oh, guess what? We're doing live action Snow White now, and all the 7 dwarves are played by Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Dwarves,
and then
it's Steven Dorff,
dwarfs. The 7.
How
Steven
have
dwarfs?
They never done the 7 dorks? They should have done that in the 80s. You know what I mean? Snow White and the 7 dorks, an 80s. Yeah. Screech plays all the.
Yeah. But and yesterday I saw stuff on Twitter. People, oh my god, this isn't good, and I'm like, you know what? It literally does not fucking matter at all. They're a multinational corporation worth billions of dollars, and them having to pay out some producer $100,000 might mean that they don't have the good champagne at a catered lunch one day.
The bigger scandal was them not honoring the residual contracts for like publishing and stuff like that. You know, the royalties.
Yeah. Right.
Like, and I still don't know what the deal is on that. Like, it seems to be hit or miss with certain folks could have been compensated and others haven't. And I think out of anything I've heard Disney, like all the shady stuff, you know, companies do, to me, that's the biggest blemish on their record in a long while.
Yeah, for sure.
Know? Yeah.
Oh yeah, before I forget, as a jerk, what I was saying was I read the first 5 chapters of that book, and really not a lot's gone on in 5 chapters.
From what I can tell, I just saw someone like who's read it already post like the main stuff, and there isn't that much connection to Jedi Survivor. It explains like some of like a couple of stuff to do with Grease, like he's going to be at the beginning of the game, like it connects that way. But I thought it probably have a little bit more like importance, but it doesn't seem like it does. So
yeah,
if people like those characters, then they're probably going to like this book. But it's not going to be. I guess in a way it makes a lot of sense because the game's going to be huge, and very few people in comparison going to read the book. So
yeah, no, there's going to be 7 more books. It's like The Hobbit, 12 books.
No.
They'll get to
Santa.
it eventually. Just hang in there.
Not today, Santa. Not today.
Okay.
No.
Right.
No. It has like interesting stuff about like, you know, a Jedi and a witch being together, and like in terms of like exploring it like in text, it's good. But there comes a point when there's like a bunch of action for me, and I'm reading a Star Wars book where it stops connecting with me. It stops resonating because you're just like, then he took his lightsaber out. It was going to be a good day. And you're just like, yeah, of course. Okay. So anyways, yeah, I'm 5 chapters in, and I'm not to the point of recommending it yet. I'm not like, oh, dude, like I know you love the game, so trust me, you want to read it. Like right now, I'm not there yet. It hasn't come close to it yet. So
still
not saying it's bad
Ronin.
though. Not saying it's
Still haven't read Ronin.
Yeah.
Bummer.
I saw the cartoon. Fucking cool. So this is
like a whole book.
I know, but I mean, I can watch a cartoon, you know, like
it covers that too.
There's this shot from a new TV spot for Mandalorian that hit today, and I'm not going to show the video because it doesn't. This you can see it better here in this single shot, and I'm just saying this Coruscant. And of course, when you say something is something, then someone always says "but," and so they're all, but it could be Hosnian Prime, and I'm like, you know, it could be. I mean, that's Hosnian Prime, which is just a Coruscant ripoff. And
sure it is. Sure.
But you know, like I feel like when you look at Hosnian Prime, though, I mean, you do have a red laser beam coming to destroy everyone, but it has more like of a champagne, almost like you're looking at it through like a champagne bottle. And when you look at Coruscant, you got blues and greens, like things that look commercial going on, and it doesn't mean it's anything at all. It could very well be Hosnian Prime. I mean, at that time, that's where shit's really going down. But maybe, you know, maybe Coruscant.
So you're saying Hosnian Prime is the Morgan Fairchild of technoplanets in Star Wars universe, right?
Wait, Morgan Fairchild?
Yeah.
Compared to who? Who's the other one?
Coruscant would be she'd be Delta Burke, right? Like
Delta Burke. Yeah.
Right? The fan favorite, but the champagne, I don't know, man. It's stupid. It's not it's fucking Coruscant. It's JJ's fucking Coruscant.
This is the only like architecture that we can catch from any of the stuff from that film right here. And it's like, you know, you just can't really pull anything out from there. And it looks more like I'm getting the Coruscant vibe. So that's what I'm going with. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
The real retcon would have been if JJ had made Hosnian Prime look like the special edition Coruscant. So then you go, well, no, the Coruscant looks like the prequels, but the special edition Coruscant is really Hosnian Prime. So you can, in a way, retcon Jedi Special Edition. That would have been nice.
Wait, why would you want to retcon Jedi Special Edition?
You want to do a whole show on this?
Well, I mean, it's like that's like actually like one of the good things that they added to anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's one of the things that's more.
It's the only version I have ever known. So
yeah,
you never watched a Phantom Menace? Like, the one in the special edition looks like Art Deco matte painting. I don't know. It's not the same.
well, yeah, it's 1996 when they're fucking doing it, but I mean, it's
97.
like no, it comes out in 97. They're doing it in 96.
I knew you. I only said 97
Mhm.
because I wanted you to say that.
And now
you fell into my trap.
Are you sorry? Are you sorry? No.
Sorry, Nari.
Farm Boy asks, has the look of Coruscant Chandrilla maybe? See, that's the whole thing. Right now, to be honest with you, until I hear Chandrilla's coming in something, I'm just being like, no. I'm just like, no fucking Chandrilla, because now what am I doing? I'm saying, no, it's not Coruscant, it's Chandrilla. And then over here on the excuse me, Naboo stuff, I'm like, that's not Naboo, it's Chandrilla. So Coruscant and Chandrilla, fucking, and Naboo and Coruscant, two different planets, could not be further apart. And because of fucking Chandrilla, I'm forced to go, well, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a bad guess. So that's why I'm just throwing Chandrilla out until we have a Chandrillan confirmation of some kind. But in terms of the post Return of the Jedi era, we don't have a lot about the importance of Chandrilla itself, other than the fact that the Chancellor of the Galaxy comes from Chandrilla, but she works on Hosnian Prime, and they left Coruscant. So at what point do they leave Coruscant is the big question now. There's a chance that
in
do we
Star Wars
have
Squadrons, Hosnian Prime is the capital of the New Republic, and that's 5 years after the Return of the Jedi.
So then at this point, Hosnian Prime is the capital then.
Yeah, like one of the missions you have to like defend like the airspace around it. I was hoping, because that was like in like one of the first screenshots when they revealed the game, I was hoping like there'd be like a cinematic like showing like something that's happening on the ground, but it was only from above. But yeah, I think it's probably it looks like Coruscant, but I get the vibe. They're trying to just show like a different district of Hosnian Prime, maybe. Like that looks just like Coruscant. Like if you said, ask anyone, it looks just like Coruscant, like the neon lights and everything. It fits. You know,
ask anyone watching the Force Awakens if they think that.
Oh yeah, true.
Well, no, right, no, and that's the thing. JJ wanted to blow up Coruscant, Bob Douglas,
and they wouldn't let him.
I know.
It's like not a good idea. And I agree with them. I mean, it's like you have this planet that's gonna potentially be this concept, a through line, one of the mainstays. I don't think you go blow it up for fucking JJ Abrams, had an idea one day while taking a shit. And it's irrelevant because you could literally blow up anywhere. And then when he blew it up, he just blew up like, what's her name? Maisie Sellers Richardson, who they announced as being a big character. Oh, we got a big character in The Force Awakens coming, everybody. And I had all of the details then, and I knew what characters we were watching. I'm like, she can't be this character. This character like literally has a cutscene with Leia where she's like, "Hi, Leia," and Leia's like, "Go to the Capitol," and then this thing where she's like, "Oh no!" I'm like, "You guys announced that?"
I remember distinctly watching it for the first time and feeling like there was a lot, like she was right in the center of the frame. I was like, "Is she like meant to be someone important?" Like this, like I obviously assumed it was Coruscant as well, like everyone else.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. They blew it up.
Yeah. Yeah. As it Farm Boy says, all right, as a true Trump me, I'll take it. Once again, like I think that any guess is valid, but if we're just gonna go by what have we seen the most, what does it look the most like, and what's the most prominent, like what's the most obvious choice? The most obvious choice is Coruscant. And the other thing to remember, I guess, too, if we're gonna like get into the, I don't know if what do you call geopolitics when it's multi-planetary? I have no idea. But when you get into the geopolitics of that universe, Coruscant is still the center of the fucking galaxy. They might have moved everything off of there, but it doesn't change like the practicalities about why that planet would still be.
Or maybe they've like they've left like the bad stuff, like the kind of prison, the war criminals on there, and moved all the like the main government onto Hosnian Prime at that point. Maybe that's the difference.
And when you like establish the ideas of 1313 and that kind of stuff, well, the day that the Empire falls, 1313 probably becomes more powerful than the capital than the top levels at that point.
Mm.
And so that would probably have a still have a pretty lasting appeal years later, even like 4 or 5 years later. It would still probably be pretty strong. All right, before we get to the article, Frog Eater, thank you for the super chat, Frog Eater. Says, really hope Star Wars Celebration publicly live stream panels this year are Lucasfilm Studio Pavilion, Clone Wars 15th Anniversary, Bad Batch Season 3, and Ahsoka. Yeah, like we said, we contacted the customer service. They're like, we're not live streaming. They announced that they would be live streaming, but it sounds like it's going to be one of those pavilions where they have like the commentators from StarWars.com video channels.
It does say on the StarWars.com website panels now.
It does say panels now? Okay, good.
It does. Like,
okay.
It's really strange because I clicked on it like as soon as it went live before they'd even tweeted about it and saw panels. I was like, oh, so they are going to be doing like probably the beginning or whatever. And then like no one noticed, and then someone else put it on Twitter, and then it kind of blew up. But like it's the subheading, and literally everyone missed it. They just went to all the details below. And I was like, that tends to happen. Like people just miss like the big details. But yeah, it does say it panels are live, so. Yeah. I'd imagine it's probably just going to be like the Bad Batch, Ahsoka, and Lucasfilm, and there won't be that many.
I mean, it's like if they're when they're showing like footage from Ahsoka and stuff like that, they probably aren't going to live stream that, for instance. But like a Clone Wars 15th Anniversary panel would have there would be no risk in that. There's no reason to not show it. It only like sells the brand and builds enthusiasm and interest. So I would imagine something like that would probably be shown. But
and Monday's quite light as well. There's the Bad Batch panel. There's another one, but it's like ILM focused, and there's the closing ceremony. So I'd imagine the Bad Batch probably will, if they're going to announce season 3 there, if there is a season 3, more than anything, because it says it's just like a look back at season 2, but they're going to have something like for worth. Because I might not stay that Monday. Like all of my friends are leaving. They haven't got tickets for Monday. I'm like the only one. So I'm even though I've paid for a hotel, I might come home Sunday night because it's like I could see the Bad Batch season 3 stuff or whatever, but it's not worth probably staying.
Right,
it's not worth it.
Are you gonna go to Are you gonna go to the Ash concert?
No, none of my friends are interested in that. Like to be honest, I'm meeting a bunch of friends that I haven't seen since just before COVID. So I probably like they wouldn't be interested in that sort of stuff. Like they're only going because like it's an excuse to see each other. Like that Star Wars is like, they've been hurt by the films basically in their shows. So but they're like, oh, it's cool because they've never been before, so they're looking forward to like maybe some announcements and stuff. So
thank you for the super chat, Frog Eater. Frog Eater says, don't forget Iger confirmed Acolyte on Disney Plus for 2024. Yeah, and it's good that he did that, but we knew that too. We were able to like figure that out. I mean, just by the fact about what's left on that schedule. And we heard some stuff this week about the schedule, and I don't want to say too much, but I think there's a chance that it won't be Star Wars, Marvel, or Marvel, Star Wars. It might. There's like more of a chance for that not to happen, but we'll have to see. And then Frog Eater goes on.
Can I
says,
bring up?
Ahsoka trailer for Celebration may be public though. Yeah, I do agree with that. I would think that there will probably be something in the room that we don't get to see. Like here's a clip of when Ezra Bridger finally shows up.
That's what I was thinking.
Something
the
like
trailer
that
goes public, but
the trailer goes public.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, that seems to be like I would expect that. I think that's a reasonable expectation.
It's the only show that's got its own panel at Celebration because it is the next one after all. But it's like Andor's got its own panel, but it's a look back at season 1. Maybe they'll, because Diego Luna's there and Tony Gilroy, probably they'll say something like show something of season 2. But given that Ahsoka's the only actual new show with a panel itself, I can see them doing a trailer, but then a scene for the people there.
Yeah. Yeah, and or like a Thrawn moment or something like that. They'll
Mhm.
probably like give you a glimpse of that kind of thing potentially, and then but the people in the room will get to see more, and because they know that it's a easy sell. That
I
they're
looked at the theater thing that the celebration stage is in, and it's quite big considering the size of the XL. It's like it can house up to 4,500 people, which
Mhm.
is considering there's going to be a lot less people in total here per day. I think there's a good chance a lot of people I don't know if how many people are attending in each day, but compared to like past celebrations, there's probably a lot. The ratio between people that get in and don't is probably pretty high.
So as a true is coming at this from the perspective of most of us are going to get into it. Yay. I'm coming at it from the perspective of that means that shit's totally getting bootlegged.
I've got
With that many people,
if I sit at the back, I've got a 10 times zoom camera. I can just I'll record it later.
yeah.
It's going out
Do
there.
you still got a Zune? Oh man, that's awesome.
The Zune,
Yeah, Azitr's kept his Zune the whole time. We're gonna get
my
crisp 320 by 240 pixels
when
images. Can't wait.
when I went on the first date with my ex, she had a Zune and she was like, "You have an iPod?" Like I was an asshole. Yeah, whatever. Bestman Bulletin. Before we get into like to the article, gave me some notes of some of the readings he did today, and I obviously trust his interpretation of things. He says, so here's some things that just went around from Iger articles today. They're less internationally made programming for Disney Plus. So less internationally made programming. Refers to HBO's approach to quality over quantity when talking about the future of FX. I guess that's the FX channel. 3 billion in content cuts will take years due to existing deals. So they have to like finish all these deals that they made with people, which is good. It means that they're not actually doing the Zaslav thing where they just fuck everybody over really hard and back out and say, no, we don't have to pay you residuals. We're just shelving your show. Yeah, looking into extending the window from theaters to streaming even more. Waiting up to 12 weeks after the film's release on video on demand, which I still think is fair overall. That could mean films might not reach Disney Plus until 6 months after their theatrical release. And honestly, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Like when you look at movies like Episode 9, where it feels like it came out and then it was on Disney Plus. It went on Disney Plus for a really good reason. Like it was like the first day of like lockdown. They're like, let's just make this nice for everybody. I was totally on board with that. I think that was a sweet thing to do overall and a good thing for your product. But that said, you have a few months out and then there's a big push because it's coming out that you could like get it again. It does give films sort of a second life. And I think it keeps them in the public consciousness a little bit more than that one and done release.
It's not my favorite film of all time by any measure, but I do think because they did the 80-day window on 80 days. How many weeks is that? How many weeks is 80 days?
It's like 3 months minus 10 days.
Right. So instead of doing the 120-day window for Black Panther, they may have left 100 million on the table. People forget when things sit in the theaters for an extra 6 months, they just they stop looking at the box office receipts right after like 3 months. Then at the end of the year, you're like, how did that thing make an extra 100 million? You're like, because it was there for an additional 6 months, just racking up $1 million there, $250,000 there, worldwide, like over a period of 100 days. So like that little revenue stream is something I'm sure they want back, That's why when I said Avatar won't be out the theaters at the 80-day mark, it'll still be going because Black Panther did 80 and then they put it back in with the China re-release,
Because every now and then, like something is coming on Disney Plus, like Black Panther or something like that, when there's not like a good series coming out, and people will be like, well, I could stay subscribe to Disney Plus, watch Black Panther, or I could rent it. I'll just keep the Disney Plus. But I don't know how they quantify that, like that kind of save. You know what I mean? It's a real hard one to, I think, to justify or to prove. I'm sure it exists, but it's a hard one to like, prove as like a thing.
I think the real.
Go on.
If I would just say, if I had to guess, I would say the real benefit that they're looking at is, The household says, I don't want to spend $20 buying this at Walmart on a disc or a download when I have Disney Plus. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's sort of the replacement. But go ahead. That's true. Sorry.
When I one time when I was at a Battlefront event, they were speaking how like EA definitely really track how EA Access, Origin Access now, the subscription service, how if people sign up and mostly play like one game that's in that service, they give revenue to that game. So like Battlefront did really well in that. So because people didn't want to pay the money because they still thought it was pay to win or whatever. So they got some like that definitely helped. Like I'd imagine they do track stuff like that for films.
Yeah, internally in some way they must have some kind of metric of deciding.
Yeah, they use like
what
play time and things like that, and typically games that are in those services they tend to spend more on microtransactions.
And I guess you
because they haven't
could
paid
look
for the
at the data and see like Azatru watched this Marvel movie that came out 2 times, but he didn't watch anything else. Therefore, clearly that Marvel movie was what kept him subscribed that month. Stuff like that might be.
Yeah, it's like for me, I've only used Disney Plus to watch the new series of stuff. Like,
Yeah,
I haven't watched the films on there because I have the 4K Blu-ray. I just watch the new shows on there, and that's it. So they just see me as someone that subscribes a year because it's cheaper just to have it. Because I also sometimes need like a picture for like or a certain scene for like a video. Like it's just so much easier than having to like I can just open it up, take a picture, and then I've got it.
Yeah. The last thing is that from Bespin Bulletin's notes, and thank you again to Bespin for sending this to me. Disney's looking into licensing content to third parties to grow revenue. Disney Plus branded stuff will remain. So I'm not sure if that means like if it means that like the Disney Plus branded stuff will stay on Disney Plus, but we might, Fox or something like that might
Die Hard's going to Amazon. That's what that says to me.
Something like that. Okay.
Because I mean, Amazon just announced that JJ was producing that Batman animated series at HBO Max, and when Zaslav came over, they nixed it, but now Amazon just picked up 2 seasons of the Batman, so they're just licensing that stuff out, right? So I imagine all the licenses that Iger said he got to make the streaming service, the reason why you'd only own that above all else, they don't want to put on there now. Chicken shit Disney. Now they're going to be like, oh, we'll license. I imagine Prey will get licensed to Netflix and shit like that.
I'll be right back in 1 second. My kid needs some help. 1 second.
Okay.
Hey, you want to talk about Avatar?
Yes.
Like, let's talk
about
Avatar. What's up with the Ubisoft game? What's up with the Ubisoft game?
I've not. So it was. I thought I was under the impression it was going to release like by June this year, but it seemed like they left it very vague. It was like the financial year, which could go until like the end, like
March.
It was like March 2024, but the game was supposed to be out in November, last year. So I don't know. It's been really quiet. From what I've seen, there was a report a couple of weeks ago that is going to be like one of the big games they like focus on at E3 this year. So I think we'll get a proper reveal of everything.
You think if the film didn't do what it did, they would have that CEO would have canceled it? Because he doesn't.
I don't know because the game's been in development so long. It cost them so much money, and apparently the main issue was the combat wasn't very good. Basically,
for which game?
The Avatar game, and that team's making that. Well, there is another team, but that same studio is making the open world Star Wars game. So this probably going to end up using a lot what they've learned from the Avatar game for that Star Wars game.
Yeah, Jason, when they were announcing that, that's
Avatar.
what they originally were like saying. They're like they saw that, were impressed, and were like, do Star Wars, right? That's the story, anyways. All right, so this is an article that Azatru brought to my attention right before the show. Thank you, Azatru. Disney being very, very careful with Star Wars movie development. CEO Bob Iger says, Marvel brand not inherently off, but do you need a 3rd or 4th sequel of every character? And this is from Deadline by Dade Hayes. So Old. When I heard date, I thought
That
of
sounded like
Wade.
an Ant-Man dig to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, why do you say third, not second? Because it was Ant-Man 3 that's not doing so well for them.
Before I forget, Chris Spreezy just messaged me. The High Republic show on YouTube confirmed we will be getting Acolyte's news at Celebration
And Star Wars Eclipse.
and Star Wars Eclipse, which is
So that is a
It's a gun, right?
surprise. There is a High Republic panel.
Okay.
And it's like mostly going to be like the phase 2 sort of thing, but they did say Acolyte will be at Celebration, so will Eclipse. So probably very minimum for Eclipse, but the fact that it's there, I'm quite surprised, given it's quite far out. But still,
I mean, if it's for like a High Republic panel, they have a lot to hide behind between like the whole phase 1 of the book and just referencing old shit, the phase 2 that they're in now, and then the Acolyte TV series. So I bet you it will amount to a couple of bullet points probably, but I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's significant. I hope we get what the actual plot of the game is instead of it just being like.
See, that's kind of leaked. That's kind of leaked. So we do have.
Has it? What is it?
Yeah. Basically, the protagonist is an alien female, kind of humanoid. She's part of a race that's like got like their own mini empire. They're like I think they're the guys at the end of the trailer, like the big kind of guys with the big guns, the tanks and stuff. They're like they're bad, but they also don't like the Trade Federation, it seems. And like it's choose your own adventure sort of stuff to an extent, and she's like part of that race, and there is some of it does sound interesting, but it's like it's with all the baggage it comes with and stuff, like it's really annoying because it looks interesting, like even though it's just a concept trailer, and the idea of like this third faction that are really militarized and stuff like that, the Trade Federation stuff looks good, but
right,
yeah.
And
don't worry, as a true
credible. Was
99% of all CEOs are super shady. Like these are just ones we talk about, right?
Yeah.
Like,
so. The report is credible. Yeah, it's
okay.
It seems to be that way.
Cool. Disney CEO Bob Iger says the company is still being very careful with developing Star Wars feature films in the wake of Solo's soft box office, while Marvel is also getting a rethink in terms of how many sequels characters get.
It's a Thor and Ant-Man dig.
I actually agree with that. I have had enough of Ant-Man, and I'm pretty good with the Thor that we got.
I've also had enough of Peyton fucking Reed, dude. Everyone wants to shit on Taika, but name one movie Peyton Reed's made where you're like, God, I can't wait to watch that again.
I don't know. I just know you really want to fight Peyton Reed, and I don't really know who he is that well. So I want to
food fight him.
Kick his ass.
I want to food fight him. Yeah, I got a pack of Pop-Tarts that have been stale for a year. I could just toss right at his fucking head.
Yeah. But in an appearance at the Morgan Stanley Technological Media and Telecom Conference, boring, Iger was asked an open-ended question about the health of tentpole brands, Lucasfilm, Marvel, and Pixar, along with the main Disney brand. The exec, who returned to the corner office in November, built his reputation on engineering the acquisitions of those outside companies during his previous stint as CEO. And let's not forget, he's the one who forced Solo out at that time and fucked it up. I heard it. I think.
Apologize.
Yeah, I know. But right now he's like, we're being careful. It's like, maybe you're just not doing that one thing you did that one time. That's all you need to do. Just don't do that one thing you did that one time, which is put
Can they bring
Star
back
Wars
the
movie
Denny's?
out 5 weeks, or 5 months after the last movie. Give me a fucking break.
I want them to bring back the Denny's so much. I want them to put a Denny's in Galaxy's Edge. Just permanently, right? With Alden Ehrenreich like clones just sitting in there too. So you could always
Hi, I'm Alden Ehrenreich. Can I take your order?
I want a moons over my hammy and a Hosnian prime rib.
Make it pink. All right. I think a lot of all of them, they're all my babies in a way, the exec mused. Oh, look at him musing. With Marvel, he said, there are 7,000 characters. There are a lot more stories to tell. What we have to look at Marvel is not necessarily the volume of Marvel stories. we're telling, but how many times we go back to the well on certain characters. Sequels typically work well for us. Do you need a third and a fourth, for instance, or is it time to turn to other characters? See, like, I don't know, he does that though, but then I think of like fucking Echo, and Echo looks boring as shit to me.
Look, man, that's a cool character in the con. I'll show you a book that looks fucking.
Oh yeah,
amazing.
I mean,
a really good story.
I sat there
And
though
they
for
just got
an hour
imagine
watching
a
Echo
character,
stuff, and it was like
a
bring
character that
book.
sees the world. Hold on, a character who sees the world in watercolor, you know, because of the way she perceives sound. But then
Yeah.
they shoot it like it was shot in a Netflix closet, and she's wearing a black coat she got off the rack at TJ Maxx.
Yeah.
Like that's you need someone like the Daniels to like portray how she perceives the world visually, and not just have a character blankly stare at the camera because she's deaf like that. So, you know, hiring a bunch of fucking like no creatives to bring these to screen doesn't help either, you know.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know how much we could expect from Marvel or whatever. I don't really follow it that deeply. I just know that the characters who they're pulling from for the newer stuff doesn't interest me, and so I'm basic though. Iger didn't get specific, but his comments came less than 3 weeks after the release of Marvel Cinematic Universe entry Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. The third Ant-Man film has grossed more than 600 million globally, but drew tepid. Ooh, tepid.
No, it hasn't. It's at 455.
The third Ant-Man film has grossed more than 600 million globally.
Wrong. It's at
But
455. I looked right before the show.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Ooh,
It's
all
at 455 globally.
Okay. Tepid response. So is it 600 million is globally, are they counting globally, domestic and international together?
I'm telling you worldwide, it's only made 455 million.
And they're
as of
saying
today.
it's 600. So did it make 200 million in America? And there's when they say 600 million globally.
No, it hasn't
do they
broke.
mean-
No, it's at 160 something in America and 260 something globally.
Okay, got it.
I looked this morning. Like
No,
every day I look at it. Like
I'm just asking if they were adding it all up to get this number. And you know what I
they
mean.
probably
Okay.
had Chat GPT write this shit for him and just accepted whatever numbers it spat out.
Listen,
Like-
you can't replace writers with fucking AI.
I want to
Only
say
artists.
600 was projected or something like that. I saw something a few days ago.
Here's something I did, right, to play with Chat GPT last week, right? And as you'll appreciate this. I said, Chat GPT, how many game developers would it take would you need, right, estimated, to develop a game that was at the same scale and scope as Ridge Racer 4 and Legend of Zelda and The Link to the Past? Guess how many game developers you'd have to gather up to make a game, a game of the same scale and size as a PS1 racing game and a 16-bit Super Nintendo game? How many developers?
It's all just use AI, bitch. Ha ha.
It said several hundred. All right,
Several hundred.
Several hundred
Mhm.
to make a PS1 scale and a 16-bit scale game combined. Several hundred developers. So just hold on the whole AI thing right now, folks. All
So
right,
we are starting a GoFundMe to hire several hundred.
several hundred.
Anyways,
I don't think EA's ever hired several hundred people. Like the totality of the company. It's ridiculous.
Titanfall 1 was made by like 70 people. Titanfall 2 was made by like 90.
now we're gonna need.
I know. Like this is what I'm saying. Like, when they try to tell us the AI overlords are coming for us. My AI overlords. I dare them to write legal contracts with this shit. You know?
Rob, have you considered maybe it's because of long COVID? Huh? She didn't. 69.
I
so,
think ChatGPT has erectile dysfunction. But all right, go ahead.
So basically, the point being, it had a 69% second week drop in the US, the steepest by any MCU title to date. So it's a pretty bad fall off for them either way, if that's accurate. There's nothing in any way inherently off in terms of the Marvel brand, Iger stressed. I think we just have to look at what characters and stories we're mining. If you look at the trajectory of Marvel in the next 5 years, there will be a lot of newness. We're going to turn back to the Avengers franchise with a whole new set of Avengers, for example. Yeah, that looks dumb to me, but I hope I'm wrong. As far as Star Wars, Iger said, disappointing box office returns in 2018 for Solo, one of 2 standalone films integrated among 3 saga installments, gave us pause. in terms of the feature pipeline. Executives determined that maybe the cadence was a little too aggressive, he added. Disney is still developing Star Wars films, Iger continued, but we're going to make sure when we make one, it's the right one. So we're being very careful there. And
so they've confirmed the name of the next one's the right one. Star Wars Episode 10,
the right one.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, that kid's got the Force. Is he the chosen one? No, he's the right one.
And it's Cara Dune. She's the right.
The right one.
Yeah. I just walked you right into that one, Jason.
Yeah, you did. I held your hand the whole way into like a little thing. I've seen a lot of people freaking out over the quote news that like Rogue Squadron is canceled and Feige's movie's not happening, and people are like flipping the fuck out this week over it. And like once again, like it's frustrating because we want a Star Wars movie that works to happen, but I would rather stuff that isn't working get tossed out or just never get made, as opposed to trying to force something that is inherently like flawed and not going to work. And sometimes they don't know. Sometimes, like, you know, if you told me, you know, we're getting Lawrence Kasdan to work with J.J. Abrams, and I would be like, that's going to be the best Star Wars movie that's ever been made. And in the end,
we all thought.
No, yeah. and because it's nobody knows until they do it, or until like they get a script, until they're like into it. So, but when you have those like early signs that shit is wrong, like I always pick on Trevorrow because that second draft will leak someday. I've read the second draft of his script, so I know it's there. I'm not going to leak it, but someday it will, right? But the thing about it is, like, I know the first draft that leaked was the good draft. The draft that I read got worse. It wasn't trending upward on getting better, and they bailed on it. I respect that, honestly. I think that like there comes a point where like this isn't going to work. And it's better to...
And we got a better film.
And we still got a bad film. Yeah, we still got a bad film. And
a bad film, I will never watch it again. I can hate watch an Attack of the Clones because it does have some interesting shots, specifically when the Geonosis ball falls and the dust cloud kicks up. I still think that's an amazing sequence. Right?
Watch Natalie Portman fucking paint her nails for 2 hours.
And I would probably be only. And the choker. I can watch a choker.
Oh, yeah.
But other than thank you, George. Thank you.
Good job.
But other than that, but I can't, there's nothing in Rise of Skywalker to sit through ever again. Like nothing.
I've sat through it a few times.
Yeah.
You don't make the time to read. So you remember that.
It's sort of weird. Like my memory almost treats episode 9 like it was one of the TV shows. You know what I mean, though? Like yeah, that was cool.
And episode 0, right?
No, it does sort of like it does. My mind does kind of like have it just in like, yeah, there's a bunch of TV shows in episode 9. It kind of feels like that.
Fair enough.
But episodic series based on Star Wars mythology, including The Mandalorian, Andor, and several others, have been extremely successful, the CEO noted. So yeah, that's good. By the way, there's these like I don't follow them. I don't know who they are. I just like see it in passing, but there's just like guys that go like, Acolyte's not being filmed. It's not being made. It's been canceled and shit like that. And you're just like, are these fucking people for real? I can't be bothered to go like delve into it, but it's like, we're going to get into an Acolyte story here in a minute about where they're filming to begin the end process of the production to wrap it.
We've seen them filming.
Yeah.
It's got the top knot Wookiee.
That's why it's fucking crazy.
Bespin used that image again for his article, and
it's not a good image. It's not a good. I'm gonna be honest. It has me worried, but I gotta let them see how it plays out when you watch the footage.
Gotta see how it looks. Yeah.
Also, before we get into Acolyte stuff, it's not quite the same thing, but Campio said something today on his show. I turned that on. And coincidentally, he started talking about the whole Kathy stuff. And he said that his sources, how did he say it? He said that they sort of consider her current administration in Lucasfilm to be a lame duck. situation.
Yeah, he always says some stupid
Right?
shit like that, and he always pushes this like doom and gloom agenda based off of that shit, and it's always wrong. So, you know, that isn't true. That if you hate Kathleen Kennedy, I only have bad news for you guys. That's what I'm trying to say.
She's going to be fired after Indiana Jones. Remember?
Yeah. They're like single. I mean, they're actually like crediting her with building a good portion of Disney Plus right now. It's not.
The crazy thing is when she does
side.
inevitably retire, like she retires on her own terms.
Mm-hmm.
The people that have been saying she's going to be fired, this, that, and the other, will like they'll treat it as like they've won, like they've been right all this, like however many years.
Yeah,
and it will never hear the end of it.
Yeah.
Well, I think what kills it for me is whether it's wrong or right or whatever, is just that Michelle Regewan was the heir apparent, and then she left. She wouldn't leave if Kathy was leaving. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but well, you're right there. But just because she was the heir apparent doesn't mean that she sustained the wins and the quality to be it. I think it's the
fair enough,
right?
but I wish companies worked that way. You know what I mean? Like Iger picked paycheck. You know, so I just don't. I tend to think like there's just not a surplus of people they trust to run companies, and when they got one, even if it's questionable, they'll still hang on to that. Versus, I mean, look at Tom Rothman or Tim Rothman, however you pronounce his name, is back at Sony. I mean, remember when he fucked up Fox so bad they booted him out.
Right.
You know, when did you last time we seen a CEO booted out was Eisner.
Well, and
so like,
and to go back for a second, let me be clear. Like his sources probably are saying that. I don't mean to say that they're not saying that to him. I'm just saying that it's fucking stupid analysis.
Yeah, and I could ultimately care less who's running Lucasfilm. Like, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. What I care about is that whoever's running it, just how do I say, it's like, get on with it. Well, you know what I mean? Like, we don't got 10 more years to wait around. I mean, but you laugh, but like, we're in a situation. It's not happening. They're obviously got new movies coming out, but you can also foresee, like there is a possibility, given the way things have run so far, that like Avatar could get 3 sequels before there's another Star Wars movie. You know,
maybe.
Like,
I mean, but here's the whole thing. Is I always have to stress it to the fucking children online. Kathleen Kennedy is not a creative producer. She's a producer who people pitched you, and then she says, that's viable in this market. That's a great idea for us. Or no, that's not a good idea for us. But when you guys get a fucking Feige in here, it's going to be a nightmare. Because all of you think Star Wars is something that it's not. It's just whatever you want it to be is what it is. And that's never what it actually is. It's always more than that. And so one Feige coming in, but once Feige's once we get our Feige, for instance, then we get all Andor or we get all Mandalorian. We don't get Mandalorian and Andor, and like we don't get the we don't get that kind of spice of life. That's not going to happen anymore. It's just going to be whatever the fucking flavor of the understanding of that creative, probably. And I mean, I would love for it not to be the case, but I bet you that's how it fucking goes.
It kills me too when they go, "Oh, I think this person should run it." It's always like a creative, and it's like that's what you don't want. You don't want a creative. Like you go, "Well, James Gunn's running DC." I'm like, he's not running the business side; he's running the creative side of DC. You know, if he's running the business side, when you got a creative running the business, it doesn't work well, bro. It just doesn't work. So, you know, I don't know what they want. You really just want, you know, them to just have wins to put. Look, if I got any gripe right now with Lucasfilm, it's stop letting Favreau write all this shit by himself, you know? And he probably isn't, but that's how it's credited. So I got to say that, you know, I can't.
I think that perspective though is a little, I get your opinion and I respect that part of it. But what I'm trying to say is Favreau's the only one producing. So it seems like Favreau's the one writing it all. When I say producing, I mean making content. And so the problem is that it comes off that way because he's the only one who has shit coming out. But it won't be a problem once everybody else has their shit coming out too.
I'm just going by the way they credit things.
Yeah.
In the credits. You know what I mean?
Well, what I mean is like when you get down to it, like he and Filoni are the only guys that have consistently made shit happen. Like over the last
but part of
couple
that is
years.
because the average Star Wars fan can't get around if it doesn't have a lightsaber, it's not Star Wars. It needs to have a big green moss monster, so long as it has, the vague resemblance of a dark saber, lightsaber looking thing, then it's all good. So I mean, I can't control that. That's like saying if Batman doesn't have a yellow oval on his chest, it ain't a Batman movie. It's ridiculous.
But it's true. That is true. No. But what I'm trying to say is like it does seem like that's where people go like all the keys were given over to Jon Favreau, and it's like not really though. You know what I mean? Like not exactly. It's only because they've produced the most and were the most prolific in the last era.
Fair enough.
But I don't think it would have felt that way had like Rogue Squadron come out, had a couple of the other shows that didn't come to fruition had come to fruition. I don't think it would feel is where it's like so like, oh God, this all feels like fucking Jon Favreau all the time. But I am with you though. I do think that's kind of like there is kind of a point where I'm like, yeah, like I kind of like want more and or less Jon Favreau. Oh, you Mike, you punk. He's all the Filoni-verse. He's trying to set you off.
Writing a whole series by yourself. Joss Whedon didn't write all of Buffy by himself, like it's just weird, dude. Like I wouldn't want Joss Whedon when, before we know all the bullshit, writing whole series by himself, like 10, 12 episodes. It's very difficult.
I do want him to throw you against the wall though. And like bully you around.
Well, isn't that all of our fantasies, Jason? You out there want me. Everyone wants, and I also want it for my own personal reasons. But
no, so this is the story we were leading with, but we went down our own rhythm. Exclusive. This is from Bespin Bulletin. The Mandalorian season 3 introduced the new villains of Star Wars Skeleton Crew, and right here we got our favorite little pirate boy. Look at him. He's all, I'm a little green man. All right. So hello there. Look at this giant button. Support me on coffee. Fucking please. I'm so thirsty and I need caffeine, he says. Or you could support me and I'll buy my Fortnite skin. Yeah, that's right. I'm kidding. Support him on, if you read his site, support him. And I always appreciate his contributions to the show. He helps me a lot.
Shouldn't you support his site since you're always reading his site on the show?
Well, I mean, there's sort of, we kind of have like in doing so, there's sort of a reciprocity going on, right?
Yeah,
we're kind of going back and forth,
an exposure.
And then, like I'm saying, like Rob, maybe do some art for the show and I'll give you a little bit of exposure. Maybe you'll make some more cash. I'm just saying,
No,
I'm kidding. I know that's like, I know artists hate that. I know that's why I'm
No, I will not make more cash. I will have to do more work. You're talking to a little bit of a pro here. I know that trick. Reward Rob with more work. Thank you, Jason. Can't wait.
Stop being so lazy, Rob. Last week we saw the giant return of the 3rd season of The Dandelion, the Disney Plus phenomenon created by Jon Favreau.
I don't know why I love Dandelion so
much. Dandelion. After more than whenever I see Pedro Pascal dressed all fancy, I'm like, that's a Dandelion. That's what I say. After a more than 2-year absence from your screens, the episode was filled with buzzworthy moments as expected and set up threads, Pedro Pascal's clothes, for later in the season. But the episode also seemed to set up the Mando spin-off series Skeleton Crew. Over the past few months, various rumors pertaining to Skeleton Crew, a Mandalorian spin-off series created by John Watts and Christopher Ford, have made their way online. We know officially that's his partner. We know officially that the series, John Watts' partner. We know officially that the series will follow a group of children, along with Jude Law, trying to find their way back home after being lost in the galaxy, and the series itself is inspired by classic 80s Amblin movies such as The Goonies. Recent reports from MakingStarWars.net claim...
Oh, shit.
Claim? What do you mean claim?
I just got the joke.
What?
I just got the joke.
What joke?
So the Goonies villains are the Fratellis, right?
Yeah.
And the Skeleton's Crew's villains are the Ferntellis.
Yeah, you got it.
The Ferntellis, dude.
The
no, they're ferns, man. Like I'm telling you, You don't know how these guys work. Puns is how it all starts, Jason.
So recent reports from MakingStarWars.net claim that the series will feature pirates, and that they could be the catalyst for the children and their teacher. And the teacher is, what I heard, is already just being called the teacher, Jude Law. I'm sure he has a name, but Jude Law become lost either in a part of the galaxy we've never seen before, or in a completely new galaxy, with the location also rumored to feature in another Mando spinoff, Ahsoka. So the first episode of The Mandalorian Season 3 took us back to Navarro, where we are reunited with Grief Karga, Carl Weathers, who has been forced to defend a school from a group of pirates demanding a drink inside the establishment, as it was once a bar before Karga revitalized the local area. During this scene, I couldn't help but think of what we know, or at least what we think we know, about Skeleton Crew, a series which reportedly sees a teacher, Law. We need to stop this Law stuff. And a group of students. It's actually harder to read it. I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to read Law's name
You
anymore.
fought the law, and the law
yeah.
won. Yeah.
Yep. I shot the sheriff, but I did not shoot the deputy. And a group of students coming into conflict with a gaggle of pirates. I like gaggle. I couldn't help but wonder if this is the school that Jude Law's character works at, and the group of children will follow attend. Unfortunately, I couldn't get any hard answers regarding this question, but it seems much of a coincidence to me that what better way to set up your Mando spinoff by having a location viewers are familiar with, Navarro, thanks to the flagship series and possible villains being introduced within that series. And then right here, we have that guy from Fox News, Tucker Carlson, looking at an explosion. I guess that Tucker Carlson right there. Though I unfortunately couldn't get any confirmation on whether or not the Navarro school is where Jude Law's teacher character works, I did get a response regarding pirates seen in the episode possibly being the ones appearing in Skeleton Crew. Details are very sparse, but I was told by sources that they believe the pirate scene in Chapter 17, The Apostate, would appear in Skeleton Crew as villains of the series. I don't know for sure which pirates would appear, but it seems as if Pirate King Gorian Shard, the big green fella,
The Frontale,
will be one of the pirates appearing in Skeleton Crew that could be a leading antagonist. It's also worth mentioning that both myself and MakingStarWars.com heard that a Nikto pirate would feature in Skeleton Crew. So I wonder if Vane, the pirate leading the charge to drink inside the school, will also feature in the upcoming series. In addition, Making Star Wars previously mentioned hearing that lots of classic species such as Weequays, Mon Calamarians, Rhodians, and more will appear as pirates in Skeleton Crew. So, yeah, Baratas, all that shit. Aside from the production issues, I've heard very little on Skeleton Crew, as details on the series have been locked down. I've heard mixed things regarding the series, with some sources calling it campy.
Yeah, I get a feeling that that's true, man, given the way these pirates have come across.
And it, and campy doesn't have to be bad, but it can be. It can be bad. Campy could be good. It just depends on how even killed the tone is throughout it, I think. But because like Luke Skywalker is inherently very campy in like A New Hope even, and it told me to think more Book of Boba Fett than The Mandalorian. And once again, that makes us make these value judgments that it's like, well, like, what does that mean? Because I don't think it's going to look like Book of Boba Fett. I think it's going to look really good based off of the size of the sets that they have. But anyways, I've also been told that the series is good and fun. Film is subjective, and if those pirates didn't work for you in The Mandalorian Season 3's opener, then I can understand why you might not be pumped for Skeleton Crew. But personally, it got me more excited for the series, and I could definitely see Gorian, Shard, and Vane working as fun antagonists in the 80s-inspired series focusing on a group of kids. And another thing to remember is that we're going to be going back to Navarro in the series, and those pirates are going to fight the Mandalorians there. So a lot of those pirates are going to die. So there's a chance that Vane dies in that, and then Gorian Shard's still there. But I wouldn't be surprised even at that if they just use that same Nikto costume and change the like clothing or something. But anyway, Skeleton Crew is slated to release sometime this year, and from what I've heard, that is most definitely will be the case at this time. And I could second that. Skeleton Crew will be out this year, but it'll be much later in the year, and that's the whole question right now. Is it how late in the year will it show up? because I wouldn't be surprised. I could see it coming after Christmas.
Yeah,
I
I
hope.
sort of assumed it would probably be like wasn't it Book of Boba Fett where it was like New Year's Eve or something like that.
Practically, yeah. It was
Yeah,
like
it was like
it was
28. It was like the 29th, 30th, 31st, something like that. I can't remember, but yeah, I can see that happening.
Yeah.
Which it wouldn't be a problem because we will get Ahsoka. Then there is a bit of a gap, and then it's still if it's at the end of this year, it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because it's like, you know, when you get down to it, like it's not that long ago that we had Andor. And then we're in the middle of Mandalorian right now. We still have, before the year is over, Ahsoka to look forward to. And then we're going to start Skeleton Crew. That's a pretty fucking good year of Disney Plus for me, for like my year subscription. Like that doesn't make me angry. I don't feel like I wasted my cash on that, you know? So I think, but it would be awesome if it came early. I mean, it would be great if it all just came now today, all at once, but that's not going to happen. So, but and then let's there's another article from Bestman Bulletin from yesterday, and I find this one funny because I saw the original article for this, and I was like, hey, you need to look into this. He's like, I'm looking into it right now, and this article was out. Star Wars: The Acolyte filming at Mandira. Is that how you say that? Madeira?
Yeah.
Madeira.
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 Island, Portugal.
Madeira. Portugal. Yeah, whatever.
All right.
Gotta roll my R's like my mom taught me.
You know what? Let's just say an island in Portugal. Make it easy for me. And then once again, give Besman a coffee, throw it in his face. That's cool. Over the last few days, I've had a handful of people reach out to me who were curious about a large production taking place in Portugal. Some of these people suspected it was a Star Wars production, but had no proof at the time, with local television stations just referring to it as a franchise with international notoriety. Now, the Madeira Island News has released a number of images from set, and though they know it's a Star Wars production, they don't know what Star Wars project it is, with the outlet speculating that it could be for their next Star Wars film slated to release in 2025. However, my own sources have revealed to me that the project shooting on Madeira Island is in fact The Acolyte, the upcoming Star Wars series set during the High Republic, which was created by Leslie Headland, and the PDX signs can be spotted in the area. So those are paradox signs. You may remember I was the first to break that Star Wars: The Acolyte was shooting in Wales back in December, and it was during that time I revealed the signage associated with the production spotted the letters PDX, which stands for Paradox, the code name of the series. So if there are any Portuguese readers of Bespin Bulletin, keep an eye out for pink signs with the letters PDX. And if you follow them, you may see a Star Wars production take place before your very own Portuguese eyes. Okay, he didn't say that. I added that. But I gotta say, this rock, it kind of reminds me of like the head of the rock biter from the Neverending Story if he got his head punched in. Like, doesn't it kind of look like that guy? You know? The nothing is coming. All right, sorry.
You're high again, Jason.
No, I'm not high. I'm just going a little sick here.
Okay.
Skeleton Crew is also slated to release sometime this year, but from what I heard, that's most definitely still at this time, blah, 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 this Skeleton Crew stuff. And then you can listen to his podcast, The Bob Podcast, which I recommend, but do not subscribe to him on Mastodon. That shit's not worth your time. Mastodon.
Fair enough.
Come on.
I know.
But yeah. I don't think there's anything filming at this point except for Andor and Acolyte. So, and then when you look at like what, you know, would Andor go and film in Portugal? I guess like it's possible that it could, but it was always kind of a very obvious before the signage was discovered. Like that has to be Acolyte, you know? And but what's funny is when people outside of the US know Star Wars is filming, they always go, I think it's the Mandalorian, because it's like what they know. And it's like, no, I don't think they're ever going to go anywhere from Mandalorian anytime soon.
It's like all the Andor stuff over here. There was like, it's Obi-Wan Kenobi, when evidently it wasn't.
Yeah. And then if you remember those Acolyte leaks that happened like over the summer last year, we haven't had any indications that any of that stuff was in any way accurate so far. There's, there hasn't been anything that makes me go, oh yeah, that clicked. So
that concept art thing we were doing.
yeah. And then
shit.
And then I wanted to hit on this one because I like his article on it. There's a little bit of analysis that I think is worth hearing out. We already covered the story, but we'll get into it one last time. Taika Waititi to star in his Star Wars movie. Kevin Feige and Patty Jenkins projects no longer in development. And back in 2019, okay, wait, where's the part? I'm gonna just go to the part that I wanted to read. So he goes, shortly after the release of the Doctor Strange sequel, Star Wars fans became divided on Waldron's appointment, given the mixed audience reaction to Multiverse of Madness, despite the commercial and critical success of Loki and Waldron's work on Rick and Morty. Just a handful of months after it was revealed that Waldron was tackling Feige's Star Wars flick, Waldron was hired to write Marvel's biggest project since Endgame, likely their biggest project ever, Avengers Secret Wars, which is due to release in 2026. Some feared at the time that Waldron's new appointment would impact the development of the Star Wars film he was creating alongside Kevin Feige, given the magnitude of the task of Secret Wars, and with the project due to release a year before the rumored release date of the Feige Star Wars film. Rumors began to swirl towards the tail end of last year that Feige and Waldron's Star Wars flick was no longer in active development and that the project could be dead. Today, Variety are reporting that Kevin Feige produced Star Wars movie is no longer in development. So, that right there, I always have the question though, with Feige, is it actually is it just backburnered? Because I feel like that guy, it's not the same when Kevin Feige steps away as anybody else. Anybody else who wants to go, oh, I don't think they're gonna kick Kevin Feige out and be like, no, we don't want your trash here, Kevin Feige, you piece of dog shit. You're with your dog shit Marvel franchise and your fucking stupid looking face. I don't think they would do that to him. So I kind of wouldn't be surprised if we still hear oh yeah, it's still a thing, but it's just nowhere on the slate. You know what I mean? That's just a guess. That's just a vibe. Look at her. Look at Patty Jenkins with her stupid skates. She has her skates on, and it's just all her skates on right there.
In the cockpit with the skates.
So in December 2020, Investors Day, Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy revealed that Wonder Woman director Patty Jenkins would helm the next Star Wars film, Star Wars Rogue Squadron. And by the way, that video was shot for Celebration, and then they just released it on Investors Day because there wasn't going to be one now because of the pandemic. Rogue Squadron would be a standalone movie with rumors of Squadron taking place sometime after the events of The Rise of Skywalker. And this is something else that I wanted to hit on. I don't know for certain, but I think that these movies were going to have sort of a baton handoff quality to them, in the sense that I think they all take place at the same time or the same era, and whichever one came first would do something like we just got in that article with the pirates, where the pirates showed up in in Mandalorian season 3, and then now they're going to be in Skeleton Crew. I think that kind of shit would be peppered throughout it, so that way there is some sort of connectivity. Otherwise, there would just be these random films coming with absolutely no coherent feeling to them whatsoever, but they're all being set after episode 9.
We want more pepper?
Yeah, so what does that what does that tell us though? You know what I mean?
You like the pepper. That's right, you like the pepper.
And then when we get into the
shard for you.
And then one theatrical project we've had word on from time to time since its initial announcement is the film being written by Taika Waititi and Christy Wilson Cairns, which the former would also direct. The project was announced in May 2020, with Kathleen Kennedy reaffirming the project at the 2020 Disney Investors Day, where a fresh take was promised and a new logo for the film was revealed. The Waititi was long rumored to release the Waititi was rumored to release in December 2025, 2 years after the planned release of Rogue Squadron. And just like Rogue Squadron and the Kevin Feige flick, the Waititi film was believed to be a standalone movie. Following the indefinite delay of Rogue Squadron, Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy revealed that the project being developed by Waititi would be the next Star Wars to hit theaters, and claimed their project was to arrive late 2023. 2 years up from its long rumored release window following Kennedy's comments, Waititi downplayed the claims, revealing a decision likely wouldn't be made until he turned in a script, which he'd yet to do. The placeholder date Lucasfilm retained, and by the way, and that was something was turned in December, last December, and it obviously wasn't enough or something. The placeholder date Lucasfilm retained for December 2023 was removed, and the next Star Wars film slated for December 2025. The original placeholder of the Waititi film. However, during this time, a new Star Wars theatrical project reared its head. And then this is where we get into the other stuff about how Taika's going to star in it and all that kind of stuff. But read the rest of the article. It's good. But he had a couple of things in there I just wanted to hit on.
All I know is when you said the Waititi, for some reason I saw Mac from Night Court just staring at me. Like, like he just looking at you and then goes and sits back down. Like,
Farm Boy asks, any idea how many episodes Skeleton Crew might have? I believe it's 8. Pretty sure it's 8. So
you want to also give your thoughts about Gina Carano? What? We're obligated contractually by all the incels out there to ask you that question daily. I just thought I'd get it out there.
I think she's doing pretty good. I think she's doing okay.
She wants some more pepper.
But was there any more gaming news, by the way?
There was the report on Lego Star Wars yesterday, so I'll give a brief breakdown. So the writer of 2 articles about Skywalker Saga about the working conditions at TC Games came out with another article yesterday, basically confirming that what I'd seen, the Lego Disney game, which was the next game they was working on after the Skywalker Saga, was cancelled last year after 4 years in development. And basically, Skywalker Saga, the developers wanted to use Unreal Engine, but management wanted them to make a brand new engine, like an in-house engine for them. So that's where a lot of the budget went to, and that's what caused issues, because it took engines take so long to make and things like that. Well, they decided after the Skywalker Saga, because of the issues it had, they switched to Unreal Engine. So they basically spent years, like 5 years, making this new engine to only be used for the Skywalker Saga. I mean, the finished product, in my opinion, is really, really good, but how it got there, it's
a nightmare.
It was a nightmare for the people that actually had to work on it. So that was cancelled. The report also said they was going to then work on a Lego Guardians of the Galaxy game in Unreal Engine. That has also been cancelled. Then they had a game out a few years ago called Lego Worlds, which was kind of like Minecraft, I think, where you could just build whatever you want. They were going to make a mobile version of that, but that got cancelled because the company, the studio that was going to help them work with it, got bought by EA about 18 months ago, something like that.
Are you saying that 15 years after 2009, 12, 13 years after 2009, that Lego finally thought maybe they should get on this Minecraft game thing?
Yeah, it didn't do very well, I don't think. It was it started out as early access. I think it was only on PC as well to start off with, which the audience, it did come to console, but I don't think it did very well. So they cancelled that, and then they was also making a shooter, which Warner Brothers shooter, a non-Lego shooter, Rick and Morty and Batman and stuff like that. I guess probably in the same vein as Multiverses, but it was going to be a shooter. That ended up becoming the Funko project. And then the Funko project ended up going to where all the ex-developers went to. So that's a bunch of games that will never come out. Now, this leads up to, after cancelling the Disney game, what did they do? Because they used to make a Lego game every year. That was an incredible rate that they got games out of. You know, whenever there was like a new, like the game before the Skywalker Saga was the Incredibles game, and then before that it was like the Lego Movies, Lego Batman, stuff like that. So they cancelled the Disney game and they needed to work on something else because they needed money. So they decided to apparently make a smaller like Lego Batman game, not necessarily Lego Batman 4, but like using Lego Batman, and then Mandalorian story DLC for the Skywalker Saga, which, in my opinion, they should have started on a long time ago. Like, if they'd have started on it back when the game came out, it could have been out by now for Mandalorian Season 3. Even if it was like only Season 1 and 2, it would have done amazing at this point, because there's no Star Wars game coming out except for Survivor, and it's a different audience, so it would have done really well. Or even after Survivor, I don't know, this summer, whatever.
Or Lego Andor, teach kids how to start rebellions. Okay.
So they decided to do that, but now the report is saying something that I also had seen a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if this is entirely true, but the report didn't say this. But apparently, Warner Bros. Approached them to make a Skywalker Saga version of Harry Potter, because how successful Skywalker Saga has done, they could do it with Harry Potter.
Sure.
Well, apparently, a bunch of the developers didn't want to work on it. No Harry Potter for them, given, you know, everything with J.K. Rowling.
Oh, okay.
So the main team didn't want to work on it.
Yeah.
They wanted to make Batman and Skywalker Saga. Well, apparently they found some people that will do it. And now Warner Brothers have now said, you've got to go all in on this. So they've just started up a new game, Skywalker Saga level Harry Potter game, apparently. Bear in mind, Skywalker Saga took like nearly 5 years, basically 5 years to make.
Yeah.
And all the resources have been diverted to that. The article says the Batman and Mando DLC has basically been put onto one side. It's in jeopardy. It hasn't been cancelled yet, but they're sort of saying it has been. Now, I had heard a few weeks ago from someone else.
You told us on here about that,
yeah,
right?
it'd been cancelled. Now,
yeah,
before this report came out, I checked the back end daily just to see if anything changes on Steam for the game. And for the first time in about a month, there was like some patch changes. Now, this is a bit of a tangent, but about a month ago, they released an update for the game, for Skywalker Saga, but it was only on the Series X and S. Okay. And it didn't change anything. Like, nothing changed. And it never came out to any other consoles or the PC. And I'm like, this is really strange. And this was after I'd heard about the Mando, so I was like, maybe they're prepping, like they've got to do some back-end stuff, but it never released for any other console. It didn't change anything. Didn't even fix any bugs as far as we know. Yeah. Then, after I had heard it being cancelled, I checked. They've been doing like loads of build testing, and one of them is the Lucas test build. Now, the Lucas test build first showed up a month before they revealed the second DLC. It's obviously used for approvals. They never do this for bug fixes. And then the day after, they did another set of Lucasfilm builds. So apparently it has been cancelled, but they're also doing something in the back end for Lucasfilm to see definitely Mandalorian story DLC. Yeah. So the article didn't know about this. So it seems like some of their sources at TT Games seem to think it's probably going to be cancelled, but evidently there is something happening. But it seems like it's a very small crew now, because everyone's now...
it is? When they were going to do that stuff, they probably created the little guys around that show, so they're probably going to eventually just release them into the game because they've already made them. Could that be potentially what it is? Could it be something that small, or is that a bad take?
Just doing one DLC pack on the Mandalorian season 3 seems really strange. Like, they've released 2 character seasons, it was 7 and 6. Right. They'd have to do more. I don't know what else stuff they do, and people don't want that. People want these DLC packs, and I'd imagine there is people working on it, but it seems like it's in real jeopardy of it. That's the words of the report, of being completely cancelled. Same with Lego Batman, as all the studio now focuses on this Harry Potter game. But this Harry Potter game is going to be so many years away. They're going to have nothing out. They've got to do, like, the Mandalorian is quick. The story DLC is quicker than the Lego Batman game. Like it only started towards the end of last year, both of the projects. So I don't know what's going on. It's really disappointing though. It seems like they misread, like Warner Brothers specifically misread like the audience, because like even like people seem to think, like sort of my age and a bit younger, seem to think the game was being made for them. And I was always like, no, the game is being made for like 5 to like 10-year-olds. All Lego games are. It's just that we grew up with the older games, so we're the active people online talking about it. But also we're the ones that are more likely going to be spending the money on the game. And it seems like they miscalculated like how many people would actually care about more stuff. And people are still saying, I want this, I want that.
It's inherently stupid, because if that is their aim, is like the 5 to 10-year-olds, that's what I got 2 of them in that exact age bracket right there. So if you're making,
and Mando is the best option,
and that's what I play. One of the games I play with my children, if they put that shit out, I would buy it.
Yeah, I just don't understand what's going on. It seems like it's just things have apparently really improved in the past year or so at TT Games, but also cancelling 4 games, potentially another 2, and now they're working on another huge project that's going to be years away.
Yeah,
because a lot of the talent's left, like a lot of all the seniors, the veterans, a lot of them have gone. And there's even people that would show up in the Skywalker Saga video, like the more younger developers, they've all gone as well.
my Patronus is a resume.
Yeah. So and the thing is, another thing to keep in mind is that the main studio is in Cheshire, which is quite an expensive place to live. I've not seen anyone talk about this, but they've mostly gone back to office now, I think, and it's quite an expensive place to live. The salaries weren't that great as far as I can tell, despite being quite a high, an expensive place to live. And there's just so many studios that are probably paying more and remote. And so, because I remember they wanted a community manager for the longest time, like during 2021 and 2022, and everyone was like, you should apply for it and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm not moving like to a really expensive place. Like, I don't want to do that. I want to keep making videos and not have to deal with that. And they couldn't hire anyone. Like the job listing kept going out every few weeks. Like no one, I checked LinkedIn and like there'd be people applying, but we never had a community manager until January 2022 when they announced the release date. They hired a guy who'd been I hadn't heard of him before, but he was a community manager at a few other places. And then he left like just after the game came out to work at Rockstar. So
nice. Good for him.
And since then they had yes, and it wasn't even community manager, it was like a developer role, like a producer, whatever. So good for him. But like for 2 years they were looking for a community manager, because like it wasn't just like the description was like about the Skywalker Saga and beyond, like all of our other projects and how we'd get involved with like the YouTube community, Twitter community, Discord. Well, none of that ever happened. Like my only interactions was with Warner Brothers, like their side of things, that got like the early access and stuff like that. They did all the marketing. On TC Games' side, they had a guy for a few months and then he's gone. And since then, it's been dead on that side as well. So they've definitely had a problem retaining people and hiring people as well. So yeah.
Wait, is Kathleen Kennedy running it?
Well, I have seen someone say, "Oh, it's Disney's fault." And here's the thing: Warner Brothers own TT Games. They don't want to keep making Disney licensed games, which is completely understandable.
Fair enough.
But but also those projects haven't come out, except if this Harry Potter game inevitably comes out. So, yeah, I don't know. Mandalorian DLC seems like the smartest thing to do, but that might not be happening now.
Yeah. It doesn't. I don't know. I know Harry Potter's huge. I know parents still read the books to the kids. The books are still something that if you're a child, you will come across in school. But I would just think that like Harry Potter Legos wouldn't be as hot as Star Wars, and therefore the game wouldn't be as hot as, you know.
It surprised me, but they do sell pretty well, the sets, I think, and the games are quite highly regarded. I personally haven't played them, but they did like a collection of, because they did 2 games. They split it off into like Lego Star Wars 1 and 2. They did like a complete saga version. Yeah. And apparently it's like quite good or whatever. but it's not Star Wars. Like, this game sold 3.2 million copies in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It was the 4th best-selling game in the UK last year. It sold like 10,000 less than Elden Ring. Like, it was Call of Duty, FIFA with like 2.5 million, more than the previous year. It just keeps getting bigger. Call of Duty with like nearly 2 million. Elden Ring less than 1 million, and just below that is Skywalker Saga.
Yeah,
It sold it. The last numbers they gave us was like a month after release. It was like 6 million, something like that. They haven't.
But they had to pay a guarantee license. You know, they had to pay
Yeah,
a guarantee.
that's another thing.
Know.
Like and it had 2 years more development time. Like, that's not cheap. But the report before said the upper management wanted it out by the end of 2020. So they basically moved everyone onto the Disney game. So that's why it took so long to make the Skywalker Saga, because it was kind of a skeleton crew. So
you're confusing us.
The Disney game's been cancelled, and the Skywalker Saga took 2 more years to come out. So all the decisions they seem to have made have worked out really bad. But I sincerely hope the Mando DLC happens. But even now, like, I posted a video about the potential thing it's happening like in January. It did really well. My video saying it's potentially been cancelled, like having more info, no one watched it. I think people are starting. It's too late now. Feels like it's been and gone, which is a real shame.
It really sucks that like this is where we're at, because when you look at the fact that we would have, if they went into production on a Star Wars Lego game, a new one, expansions or a new one, I mean, you would have Mando, Ahsoka, and Skeleton Crew, all 3 of those shows all interacting and being the same thing. That would inherently make a fucking good offering down the road. But instead, they're gonna make a Harry Potter game.
Because a lot of the fans seem to think the next game was always going to be the Infinity Saga. So all of the MCU films, but getting the Skywalker Saga treatment. And I was like, there is far too many to put in one game. And everyone was telling me, like, all my subscribers, like, no. And I'm like, I don't care about Marvel, but you're not going to get it. And when the Disney game leaks, they all said I was lying, even though I was just following the report. Like, hell no. Yeah. And no, they did a Guardians of the Galaxy game, cancelled. The Disney game that did, like, it was going to be like Pixar and stuff. That's been cancelled. Batman, that might be cancelled. So now it's Harry Potter.
We canceled everything. That's how we do it.
Oh no.
Well, Jason, I heard that the Harry Potter Lego game is going to be called the Fantastic Bricks and Where to Build Them. That's what they're going to do. John told me that. We was all getting taquitos.
I was talking to a source in HR, and Jon Favreau is requesting that you stop slapping his ass and calling him a brick house. He doesn't appreciate it.
He told you about that? Did he
tell
told
you
HR.
About his plan?
Yeah. Did he tell you about his master plan to buy out the Nerf franchise and call it Turf? Nope.
Is that a Harry Potter? Is that a new Harry Potter expansion?
Yeah, how'd you know? All right, I gotta get back to my taquitos. Be all later.
All right. Bye. Enjoy your doggy style fries or whatever you have at In-N-Out.
Doggy style fries. Now I want that. Oh, there should be that. We get hot chili cheese hot dog on fries as doggy style fries. I'm saying that right now, folks.
Sounds disgusting.
But it's so good.
Anything else happened before we go? As it's true in the gaming
nothing
place.
On Jedi Survivor, I don't think. But I'd imagine they will drop some stuff between so Jedi Survivor is the sponsor for the Celebration live stream.
All that, yeah.
So given that it's out a few weeks after it, I think there'll be like some news at Celebration or around it.
Right.
Cal's just been added to Galaxy of Heroes because people are still spending tens of thousands of pounds each on that game because they're addicted and like wasting money.
You're probably coming to Fortnite too, most likely.
But that's not pay to win. Like Galaxy of Heroes,
yeah.
It's ridiculous. They're adding like Seer, Merrin, like maps that are like inspired by Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor, Cal. So if people are interested in that, there's that. But yeah, I think that's it.
All right. Well, hopefully they get their head out of their ass and they make Lego expansions for Star Wars stuff.
Hey, Jason, you remember when Ubisoft released a second Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade game on the NES in the mid-90s, well after the NES was dead? but it was the Game Boy game that they just recolored. Remember that?
I remember. I remember the Last Crusade game and a Young Indiana Jones Chronicles game, but I don't know if I played.
There was 2 Last Crusade games.
There was
with
2
the
Last
same-
Crusade games.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah. One from like 91,
Yeah.
which is a game you probably remember. It's pretty good.
Mhm.
Then in like 94, 95,
Yeah.
the Ubisoft, what they had before they were the Ubisoft everyone knows them as, ported the Game Boy game as with the color with the like it's so it's like he's like all red and the background's all green. It's like a really bad Game Boy color, but it's on the NES.
Yeah. Sounds
Don't look that
terrible.
one up. It's horrible.
I think my favorite Indiana Jones game is Temple of Doom because it has like the music from the mind while you play it, and it's just like loops, but it's insane, but it's good. So yeah, good
Yeah,
times.
fair enough. The Fate of Atlantis is pretty good.
To add to that, I don't know if it's true, but a developer on the Indiana Jones game on their LinkedIn said multiple Indiana Jones projects in development, but it could also mean like the film, the game, something else. So it wasn't very clear, but some people have taken it as it's multiple games, which is possible. But given
Yeah.
that the first one's like we've not seen it in a while, I think we'll see it this summer though at Xbox's event because the film will be coming out.
With the Bethesda game?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
How far away do you think it is though until it gets launched? Most likely.
Maybe the end of next year. It's hard to say because like it was announced really early. Like they'd only just sort of like they just started building a team for it. Like it was because they wanted to announce before this film starts. This was before the film was delayed and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll see.
I was like crying to Best, but I was like, it's so long ago, and he was like, well, COVID added a year to everything, bitch.
Yeah,
okay,
that's the thing. That was another thing. But yeah, I would have loved a Skywalker Saga Indiana Jones thing for all 5 films, redo the other 4 films and this, but they want to do Harry Potter, so
I want to do Harry Potter.
I want to see a Lego rip out a little Lego heart. You know what I mean? Like so bad. That would have been great.
God. Yeah, I'd play that. But the original Lego game was good, but that was from the Indiana Jones one. That was for the 360. That's how long
I played it on the Wii. I played the first one on the Wii. Yeah, because I didn't have I got a Wii before an Xbox, so I played Lego Batman 1 and Lego Indy 1 on the Wii, like using the Wii remotes to do the whip. I love that. It was great.
Back when 360s used to die, I think I had to buy a replacement 360, and it came with it.
Yeah, that was like the big bundle. It was Kung Fu Panda and Indiana Jones 2. And
I gave that to Sweet Meat or Griddle Marks on Twitter. I gave that to his kid. I was like, here, you can have this one. I'm keeping this.
Yeah, when I got my 360, the first game was Star Wars: The Clone Wars Republic Heroes, and then I got Lego Indiana Jones 2.
Yeah.
So I feel that makes me feel old.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
And I was like 11.
Old, that's true. You're becoming an old man, just like the rest of us on this show. I mean, since you've been here, I've seen like a little white hair pop up right here. No,
Shh, Jason, don't let them know we look.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, everyone, we'll be back tomorrow, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I gotta go pick up my daughter from school right now. Thank you for telling me all the video game shit that I miss. I always appreciate when you come on hang out with us. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And Rob.
Thanks, as it's true. No, we
Rob.
appreciate you. Thank you. What?
Just zip it. No, I'm kidding. Well,
are you giving me the shh? Give me the shh.
I'm just kidding. Yeah. So tomorrow there'll be some Star Wars news, I think.
I like spaceships.
Okay, everybody's happy. All right, bye, everybody. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank everyone for being a channel member and like the video and subscribe to the podcast on Spotify. And if you don't like Rob, especially subscribe because he hates
comments.
you.
Leave a comment below. Let me know
you.
how much
So the more subscribers we get, the madder Rob
about my mom and Scientology. So yeah.
It's the end of the show. Come
on, let's go. Hey!
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go. Hey!
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go. Hey!
You know you should go.
not about spaceships.